going to kick off with a few questions that we got earlier on, just to get the ball rolling. There's a question from Anthony Bales. When Dorian trained with Branch not too long ago, did they discuss training philosophies, and did he maybe try to talk Branch into training HIT or whatever? No, I haven't had any really much conversation with Branch about training, and so I don't feel inclined to give people advice unless they're asking for it. And I think Branch feels he knows what he's doing, and he's getting good results, and is his own man. So that's the situation there. So Branch is doing his own thing. We haven't really talked about training. He's been out to England. I've been out to Texas to do a show. Went hunting together and everything. And I think he's a cool guy, and I really hope he does well in the Olympia. All right, next question. What's my opinion on just training one body part per day with HIT? Well, I think it's a mistake to be in the gym every day, even if you are doing just single body parts or whatever. Whenever you're training, you're not just training that muscle group, you're training it, stressing your nervous system as well, your whole system. So that needs some rest out of the gym. So, and you know, if you're doing HIT training, it shouldn't take long to train a body part. So, I mean, what's the point of coming in the gym to do biceps when that should probably take you 10 or 12 minutes to do? Just do it with the chest or something, you know. So 4 days a week generally will probably be the maximum I would advise, but everybody varies in their abilities, you know. And another question here. Would I advise people to start with HIT training from the outset, or is something they evolve into as they get more advanced? Well, if it was somebody with absolutely no training experience or no athletic experience, then you know, it would be a mistake to put them straight into HIT training. They need to learn the proper form with the exercises and so on. So it would probably require more sets in the beginning just for that learning process. And because when you're not that strong, you're not able to generate that much intensity and damage to your body, that you can get away with doing more sets. As you get advanced, you have to be more careful with the recovery and do less volume, actually. All right. Got one more question here that we took previously before I start getting to you guys on the writing in right now. Okay, Lee wants to know his triceps are very developed and chest and shoulders poor, and he thinks his triceps are doing too much work on presses, and his chest and shoulders are not developing. Yeah, we all get genetically different muscle groups are more responsive, or they have longer muscle bellies, or more muscle fiber there, and so on. So they're going to always have an advantage growth-wise. So I would suggest your stronger body parts, in this case Lee's triceps, I would back off on those, on training those. Probably don't need to train them at all directly, as they're already developing from the pressing movements. And you might try pre-exhausting your chest by doing some isolation exercise first, so you can work the chest in isolation without the triceps being involved too much. And over my years of training, I've done a lot of heavy pressing for shoulders, but experimenting, I think I actually got my best results when I wasn't doing any direct overhead shoulder pressing, just doing front raises, side laterals and so on, because your front delts get enough anyway from the pressing from chest. So in my case, I found that when I dropped the pressing down, my shoulders got developed more, so you might give that a try also. Alright, so that's enough for the questions earlier. Let's get on and look at the questions online. Okay, let's have a look what we got here. Somebody's asking me about dips instead of decline presses. I never like to do dips. I just feel it puts too much stress on the shoulder joint. Got one from Prash here. Hi Dorian, I met you at the Expo in 2011. It was a true honor. Thanks, man. You say in one of your videos that the cardio equipment has been downgraded. Can you explain? Just simply that I think manufacturers have dumbed down their equipment and made them easier to use just to make them more acceptable. And for people coming into the gym, I guess they haven't trained before. For instance, Life Fitness cycle years ago on level 7 or 8 was pretty tough. Now it's like 7 or 8 is easy, and you got to go to level 15 to get the same kind of resistance. So basically, that's what I was talking about. Okay, from Vin. I train 6 days a week, splitting Monday and Thursday for back, tricep, Tuesday for legs, shoulders, Wednesday and Saturday biceps, triceps. So you're training each body part twice a week, so I would say that's definitely too frequent for you to train at an intensity and be able to recover from it, which is what we're trying to do in the gym. So I'd actually advise you to train each of those body parts once a week or once every 6 days, something like that. So you're training way too often. Something I know about, a few injuries. I have shoulder impingement, 7 months on and still recovering. Is it recommended to train around it or allow it to heal fully before I start training again? Well, you probably need to be doing, I don't know the exact nature of the injury, but you probably need to do some physio type training, strengthening training for the shoulder, as opposed to heavy muscle building training like pressing and stuff like that. And I mean, the main thing is if you feel any kind of discomfort or any pain, then it's not good. That's your body's telling you that you're damaging it. So anything that's causing any discomfort, then avoid that for the time being. Somebody wants to know, where did they get the nickname The Shadow? Actually, that was given to me very early on in England by Peter McGough. He was the editor, or he was just working for a small bodybuilding magazine, I think, when I was competing as an amateur. And he came up with the nickname Shadow because he said I had a habit of, turning up at a bodybuilding contest, just winning it and causing shockwaves, and then just kind of disappearing and going back to my gym and nobody knows anything about me. So that's why he called me The Shadow, and that wasn't any kind of planned strategy or anything. That's pretty much just it's just my personality that I did things that way. Do you ever get problems with forearm pain, mainly from straight barbell curls? I prefer to use an easy bar to do the curls with. I find that having them fully supinated with a straight bar feels a bit unnatural. But it doesn't make a hell of a difference which bar you use. Technically speaking, a straight bar should be better because your palm is more supinated. So that should be more biceps and less brachialis, but I don't think it really makes a hell of a lot of difference. And if one is uncomfortable and causing any kind of pain, then of course you have to avoid that. Another question is, why didn't you use front squats? Just because I don't think they're very good exercise. As you know, if you follow my training philosophy, I believe maximum stimulation comes from the intensity of exercise, and training the muscle to failure. I think it's very hard to train your quads to failure while doing front squats, because it's just a matter of having to balance the bar, and the whole process is very awkward. I would rather do something where I'm just concentrating on contracting the muscle rather than trying to balance the bar in front of my neck. Not to say that it might not be a good exercise for somebody else that finds it easier, you know. Somebody's asking me, I made a comment like, where's the conditioning of the bodybuilders these days? And this gentleman wants to ask me why I think that is. I'm not really sure, because I'm not involved with competitive bodybuilding or working closely with the guys that compete and what they do. But it just seems that the general accepted contest condition standard in the pros has gone down, where guys are coming on stage, fuller and rounder and bigger, if you like it, but that's kind of like the look I used to have about 8 weeks out from the contest. And for me, that's not really true contest shape. You've got to be shredded. You've got to have cross serrations on your ass and the lower back. And if you're a professional bodybuilder, then I think you should be better than the amateur bodybuilders in all departments, not just bigger, not just in size. You should be better conditioned, better symmetry, better posing, better everything. If you're professional, but I often see people in amateur contests that have better conditioning than professionals, so that's where my comment came in. Is it normal, Ben is asking me, is it normal to feel a little rough on the days off from the gym? Well, you've done some stressful exercise, so yeah, it's normal to feel a little tired, especially after something like after legs, and for sure you're going to be getting some muscle soreness and everything. That's part of it, but you could be also overtired and overtrained if you do way too much. So yes, it's normal to feel a little tired, a little sore in the muscles that you've trained and so on. Well, you shouldn't feel exhausted. If you're feeling exhausted, you're probably doing too much in the gym in terms of time and volume. A question from Prash. She's asking my thoughts on Zach Khan. Yeah, I did train a little bit with Zach, helped him out a few years ago with his training. Do I think he'll do well in Olympia compared to people like Jay Cutler, Kai Green, etc.? Yeah, I believe he has the potential to be a professional and go and compete against those guys. How well he's going to do, and how his recent pretty serious injury to his legs, he tore tendons in his quads, how all that's going to affect him, I don't know, but physically does he have the potential to do it? Then yeah, I believe they could be up with those with their guys, and along with Flex, we could have two really good pro contenders up there. Can I tell you what's the best mass builder for arms, supersets or trisets? I always train pretty much straight sets, so I like to get an exercise and do the required amount of reps. Usually 6 to 10, bit higher on legs, but get that exercise and put absolutely everything you've got into it to total failure without rushing around and jump into another exercise. That was always my approach. I mean, multiple sets and circuit training and stuff like that. That's great for maybe a partial muscle cardio workout, but for building mass, I think just straight sets to failure are the best. What's better, seated or standing side laterals? Um, neither of them are better than the other. Use both of them. You can do them standing one time, seated another time. It's a slightly different pull on the delt, so there's not a huge difference between them. But I usually do alternate them. One workout standing, one workout sitting down. So it's good to have a little variety in there. Have I ever thought about competing again and in this Masters contest and so on? No, I've never thought about it because I made a decision to retire based on reasons that would still be there. I retired because I had an injury that was really interfering with my training, and that injury is still there. So even if I wanted to compete at that level, it wouldn't be possible anyway. But having said that, I have absolutely no desire to do any more competitions. I did very well against probably the most intense, in-depth quality of competitors in the history of the sport. I'm very proud of what I've done. But that's it. I did it. I made a decision to retire, and that decision is not going to change. And this whole thing about athletes making a comeback, I think, is never a good idea. Compete and stop competing when you're at your best. That's my belief. Okay. Viewers are asking me about what's my take on creatine and branched chain amino acids. I was actually using branched chain amino acids after the workout from early to mid 90s before I think most people had heard of them. I got powdered branched chain amino acids from a company in Australia called Musashi, and they were one of the first companies that were doing that kind of product. And I think it makes sense to take them after the workout to help the recovery healing process. Are you going to notice or see anything dramatic? No, but it all helps. All of these little things help added up. Creatine. When creatine first became available on the market, again, it was probably mid-90s, creatine monohydrate. I tried it in every combination, loading it, taking it with sugar, taking it without sugar, and I never really felt anything from it. But recently I took a combination of creatines, and particularly creatine ethyl ester, and I really did notice something from that. I noticed more fullness and stronger, even though I'm not training seriously, I really felt it in the gym. So I think you've got to experiment. Not everyone reacts the same. For some people, creatine monohydrate may work great, but for me, it really didn't do anything. Yet I found other forms of creatine that work better. So you've got to experiment a little bit. John, hit the plateau with my biceps and been doing very high reps recently to try and bust it. They've been getting sore again, but they've actually gone a bit smaller. yeah, I'm not surprised. If you're doing a lot of reps, then you're sending a message to the muscle that, you're stressing it endurance wise, so it needs to increase its endurance capacity, and that's probably what it's done, but it's decreased the muscle mass. So if you're training for muscle mass, you've got to train specifically for that. You've got to do heavy training, 6 to 10 reps. As far as the plateau on your biceps, obviously you can see the high reps or high sets or whatever. That is not going to help you. It might send you backwards. What you've got to do if you've got a weak body part is prioritize it. So that means doing it first thing when you go in the gym, when your energy is high, physically, mentally. You've got to play around with different exercises to see which one works the best for your structure, and you've got to concentrate on intensity. So instead of doing more reps, more sets, or more often, which is all a mistake, do it harder. Put more intensity to it. Every set that you do, give it 100%, and you can go beyond failure with force reps. You can do extra negatives. There's different things you can do to take it beyond failure. So what you do is you concentrate this on a weak body part, in this case your biceps, and then on your stronger body parts, maybe your triceps are stronger or your back, whatever, you don't go to town on those body parts. You don't go beyond failure. Maybe just for time that you just maintain those muscle groups while bringing the weaker ones up. It's kind of a balancing act. But more is never better. It won't solve your problem. You just need to do whatever you're doing harder. Could I explain the best exercise for front delt except for presses? I would say front raises with dumbbells, which I'll do alternately, just bringing up to shoulder level like that, no higher than that. I think it's an excellent exercise, and in my opinion, hits the side delts as well and gives you a nice cap shape on your delt. Whereas pressing gives you more thickness on your delt, but it doesn't necessarily give that width or shape on the lateral head. Training HIT without a partner. What do you think is the best way to increase the intensity of each set? Well, without a partner, you can go to failure. Some exercises have to go into failure with strict form. You could cheat or use momentum on the positive and then really slow down the negative. Another thing you can do is rest pause. So you could go to failure, whatever it is, 6, 7, 8 reps, go to failure, and then take just a 10-second breather and go again. So maybe you can get 4 or 5 on the second set, and you can do that a couple of times. Beyond that, once you reach failure with full range reps, you can do partial reps. You can do like a 3/4 rep or a half rep on some exercises. But concentrate on every rep you do. Concentrate on contracting the muscle, slowing the negative down, making the muscles work as hard as possible on each set. And of course, you're training on your own. You've got safety factors as well. Some exercises are going to be dangerous to train to failure or near to failure. You wouldn't want to be doing bench press or something like that alone and going to failure, because if you fail and that bar gets stuck on you, or if you're under a leg press or something with a ton of weight on there, so you've got to exercise some caution for sure. Do you think doing cardio is better after a workout versus early morning? No, I wouldn't recommend doing cardio after your workout, because we're bodybuilders. Our priority here is building muscle, and when you've trained in the gym, you've damaged the muscle. You want to start that whole recovery process, repair process, kickstart that as quick as you can and get nutrients into your system that are going to do that. So the last thing I want to do after a workout is get on the bike and start spinning my wheels for half an hour. Should you do cardio warm-up for each workout? Yeah, it's a good idea to do just 5-10 minutes cardio to get general body heat going, raise your body temperature. I guess if you're training in a nice warm place like California, you might not need to do that. Just do a couple of sets and you're going to be warm. But I like to do 5 or 10 minutes just to get the blood flowing and get warmed up a little bit before I warm up with the weights. This is from Make Lift. He's asking about the guys from the 90s, I guess, myself, Kevin, Sean and so on. If we were competing today, how would we do? Well, I'll just be honest. I think the guys in the 90s were better, so I think we'd do very well, and I'll leave it at that. Riley wants to know, on incline barbell press, did you always go down, all the way down and all the way up? Yeah, I like doing full range reps. So I used to come all the way down with the barbell into my upper chest and all the way out to the top. I notice a lot of the pros in America, they all do kind of bouncy mid-range or partial reps, but I always made a point of doing full range reps. I wanted to get every part of the exercise. During the off season, did I weigh and pre-cook my food? Somebody's asking me that. Yeah, when I was bodybuilding and that was my profession, I prepared my food every day. I occasionally ate in restaurants, but not very often, to be honest. And 3 months before a contest, then I would not eat in a restaurant. All my food would have been actually weighed and calculated and made, and down to almost the last calorie. So it's not that everyone's approach, and maybe it's not totally necessary, but that's, I'm kind of like, if I want to do something, I'm going to do it properly. So that's what I used to do, and I used to eat pretty clean all year round. Just more of the same, really, in the off season. And of course, it was a bit more flexible. If I wanted some ice cream or something, I'd have it. Where contests, you can't really do that. So, but there was not a huge difference in the food sources. It's just less carbohydrates before a contest. Somebody's asking, what's the best thing for somebody that doesn't feel their back engage when they do the exercises? Well, first of all, cut all your weights in half, and your lat. Find out what's your lat function. It's to bring the upper arm down and back. So that's kind of movement that you need to be concentrating on, and at the contraction of the exercise, you need to arch your spine for the lats to fully contract. And so if your back's rounded round, they're not going to fully contract. So you've got to concentrate on the stretch and the full contraction. If there's a resistance in the contracted position, then just hold that for a second, and get the feeling in your lats, and then slowly you can build the weights back up again. Jason wants to know, do I recommend eating red meats in the off season? Once a day, twice a day, whatever. I used to eat red meat pretty much once a day all the time, whether it was off season or contest. There's no reason that you wouldn't eat red meat before a contest. It's actually a better source of protein and aminos than chicken and fish. And okay, it has a little bit more fat in there, but there's nothing wrong with having a little fat in your diet. It's more carbohydrates you have to concentrate on. Nikon wants to know, do I feel the step mill brings in more striations through the hams and the glutes as well as burning up the fat? No, I don't. You know, the striations in the muscle are just going to be visible when your body fat's very low, and the actual formation of the striations and the separations is somewhat genetic. You know, people have different shaped muscles and different separations and stuff like that. So, you know, the main thing is you've got to get your body fat very low, and there's no such thing as spot reducing. So, just because you're using your quads and your glutes on the step mill doesn't mean that you're going to get lean in that area. It doesn't work like that. So, just concentrate on lowering your body fat and keep doing the training that you're doing in the off season to maintain the muscle. Tom wants to know, what is the best chest mass decline exercises apart from decline press? Most free weight exercises, pressing movements, flies. Those are the core movements. Any pressing, heavy pressing, I prefer to use a barbell because it's easier to balance, and when you're using big weights, you know, just if you're using 150 pound plus dumbbells, I just find them so awkward and cumbersome to get up and to get down, and you know, you're spending a lot of effort doing that, and I don't want to get injured lifting the weight up to position and putting it back down again. So it's just much easier to use a bar and use the dumbbells for dumbbell flies, which is more, you know, more of a full range stretching kind of exercise. Okay. What training split for a 15-year-old that's pretty much a beginner? I would just split the body parts into 3 equal workouts. Doesn't really matter which one, how you split it, but let's say you can do chest, shoulders, and triceps on one day, take a day off, do back and biceps on the next day, take a day off, do legs, and so on. So, like, you know, 3 days a week or 3 days every 6 days or whatever. We all tend to plan our training around the week just because, you know, we use the week for everything, for the working week and so on, and we got the weekend. But your body doesn't really work on a weekly basis, so that's why I say 6, 7, or 8 days. You know, you don't have to do it on the weekly schedule. Have I ever suffered a hernia? No, luckily enough I haven't suffered a hernia, so I can't help you there, mate. Barbosa. He's asking me about forced reps. He's noticed that Leroy and myself, when we're training together, would help a little bit on the last rep or two. Basically, that's it. Yeah, just enough assistance just to get through the weakest point in an exercise and complete the reps. Because in an exercise, there's always going to be a range in the exercise that's more difficult to do than the rest. For instance, if you do a barbell curl, the first bit's relatively easy. When you hit the mid-range, that's when it gets more difficult, and then it falls off towards the top. So the idea is just enough assistance to get through those weak points, just to finish off the last couple of reps. It shouldn't be, your training partner shouldn't be taking a ton of resistance off you, just a little bit, just to finish the last 2 reps. A lot of people get carried away with forced reps and doing way too many, and training partners do more work than them. So the idea is just a little bit on the last couple of reps, and it takes a bit of practice and a good training partner to really do it properly. You want to just keep the weight moving really slowly, so you're not taking off the resistance of the guy that's training too much. On the other hand, you don't want to just let him get stuck. You know, you want to keep the weight moving, albeit slowly. Alright. Alright guys, I'm going to have to leave in a little while, but I wanted to let you know that body coaches will be at the Body Power Expo next year, so myself and Sean Ray will be there, and a lot of the guys, so it's an opportunity. If any of you can make it, to come meet us in person and say hi.